Tonight on CTV News at 5.
Especially, because when events happen, you don't usually have, you might not have a lot of time.
Ready or not, how prepared would you be in the event of an emergency?
What we're aiming for in 3 years is to be ready to launch our first clinical trials.
And a look inside the lab, Halifax scientists make stride in ovarian cancer research.
The dog would leave here obliviously, but you're going to leave here knowing that your dog did something amazing.
Plus, dog donors, their man's best friend, but they could be another dog's best friend too.
Rain, drizzle, and fog developing tonight as a system moves in from the west.
Live from the Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 5.
Good evening and welcome to CTV News at 5. I'm Maria Penopalis. Thank you for joining us. First at 5 tonight, emergency measures. You probably received an emergency test message today. Had it been a real alert, would you have been ready to act? From severe weather to wildfires, disaster can strike with little notice. CTV's Ryan McDonald looks at why being prepared can make all the difference for you and your loved ones. Ryan.
Maria, I'm standing here in a part of Sydney where these empty lots here used to be people's homes. 10 years ago this fall, a major flood hit in this neighborhood and the people who lived here had to evacuate. And we have only seen more different kinds of extreme weather events around here in the decade or so since. From hurricanes to floods, Snowmageddon-type blizzards to raging wildfires, Maritimers have experienced extreme weather events of all kinds in the past number of years.
People were running out of gas for their generators. Lineups were crazy.
Denise Forgeron's mother's home in Louisbourg suffered more than $20,000 damage during post-tropical storm Fiona. She and her husband were without power or well water for a few days themselves. Since then, she has purchased a fireproof bag that contains things like passports, medication, and some cash in case of another emergency.
Something happens, I said, go in that closet, that black bag, grab it.
Today, Canada's Alert Ready system went off in most provinces, including the Maritimes, but it was only a test. So what might people run out the door with if it were the real thing?
A lot of homeowners and individuals, care so much about their pets.
A new survey from First On-Site Property Restoration finds the other things Canadians would grab first are cash, cards, and their phones.
I'm right up there too. If I'm getting evacuated, my phone or whatever I use to communicate would be top of the line.
The survey found that 53% of Atlantic Canadians, the highest percentage in the country, feel prepared for a weather-related emergency. 53% know their local evacuation routes, which is also tops nationwide. 85% know where to find official emergency alerts and weather information, and 30% have an emergency kit prepared.
It can make a huge difference. Especially, because when events happen, you don't usually have, you might not have a lot of time.
Back at her mother's home in Louisbourg, one of Forgeron's first priorities post-Fiona was replacing the deck so the 85-year-old would have more than one escape route.
Because she had only one exit for that from September right up until the deck went on in February.
And if Atlantic Canadians are the most prepared people in the country for an extreme weather event, it could be because we have had plenty of practice. Here in Cape Breton alone, just over the past few years, we have experienced Fiona, that major winter storm that pulverized the island back in the winter of 2024, and of course, last summer's extreme drought conditions and wildfire risk. Maria?
Oh, thank you, Ryan. CTV's Ryan McDonald for us in Sydney. Let's hope for some clear skies as the days progress. That actually brings us to tonight's web poll. This is what we're asking. How prepared are you in the event of an emergency? And these are your options. Very prepared, somewhat prepared, or not prepared. You can go to ctvnewsatlantic.ca to weigh in and, of course, to see the latest poll results. All right, over to Todd Vaddis we go now, where he's been working on a busy edition of CTV News at 6.
Certainly is that. Thank you, Maria. Coming up at 6, we're hearing from some of the workers who are going to lose their jobs at the Sussex Agropur dairy plant. About 60 employees will be out of work when the company closes that facility in about 2 years' time. Meanwhile, questions over a government loan to the dairy giant continues to dominate the legislature. We'll have details at 6 o'clock.
Susan Holt was...
The search for a man reportedly wielding a machete in a rural area about 30 kilometers east of Halifax continues tonight. RCMP issued several alerts last evening asking people in Gatesbrook to stay inside, lock their doors. The warning was eventually lifted. Coming up in the newscast, more on the search for the man and what folks think about that alert. The strike by Nova Scotia's long-term care workers is well into its fourth week. There is no sign that either side is willing to budge. CUPE's national president was on the picket line today to add to a little morale boost. The government says there will be no new talks unless its latest offer is voted on by union members. Kayla Mitchell is in the Weather Center with a rather good-looking spring day. Some nice temperatures in the background there, my friend.
Yeah, certainly depending on what part of the Maritimes you were in today, away from the coast and with the sunshine breaking through for parts of Nova Scotia and areas of Prince Edward Island. Temperatures came up into the low 20s for today. Now, around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick, things were held cooler, but that's still very gusty southwest wind. Again, that was expected. And largely across New Brunswick, it was a cooler day compared to yesterday because of increased cloudiness. And for northern western parts of the province, some rain, and we'll get back to that rain in a moment. Here's a check-in on the winds out of the south and southwest. They're mostly being sustained between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour, except lighter in northern areas of New Brunswick. A lot of the peak wind gusts coming into the range of 30 to 60 kilometers per hour, while the overall wind gusts may diminish a little bit as we make our way through tonight. Expect for most of the region for that south and southwest wind to be pretty steady tonight into tomorrow morning. Just look at things on radar and satellite. So rain has been present around much of the north of New Brunswick throughout the day today. It's now filling into western parts of that province. That rain is going to continue to spread across New Brunswick as we make our way through this evening towards midnight as this front begins to move in from the west. And then during the overnight and Thursday morning, the rain will arrive for both Prince Edward Island as well as Nova Scotia. We do have some weather alerts out, including a special weather statement still for the northwest of New Brunswick. Some overall rainfall totals there could approach 40 millimeters. That is joined by a special weather statement now for eastern parts of Halifax County, Guysborough County, and Cape Breton, where the rain on Thursday could total in some areas between 40 and 60 millimeters. And on Thursday, one wind warning in effect for northern Inverness County in Cape Breton. Some southerly gusts could reach 90 kilometers per hour. More on the forecast when I'm back later on. Maria.
Thank you very much, Kaylin. We'll see you later on. Right now, the theme of this year's Mental Health Week is Come Together Canada, and that is what last night's Story Slam did in Halifax. It brought people together. As CTV's Jim Quammen shows us, Maritimers gathered for an emotional and inspiring evening of storytelling.
I had volunteered over 25,000 hours in my community. Heck, I even carried the Olympic torch for Canada. How could this be happening to me?
Halifax Story Slam is a live storytelling event where people get up and tell their true stories as remembered, with no notes, no script, no prompts. They just do it from memory.
Earlier in my life, I would often brag about how I was such a resilient person, and not just me, but I was one of at least a generation of 4 resilient people in my family.
We also don't just throw them out there. We let them, for about 6 months before the event, we actually help these people guide their stories. So we have 3 different story coaches, and we help craft their stories to fit within a certain time window and help them really understand, from the audience point of view, where their story lands, what hits, and what's really good. But we don't change their story. We just help them change their story so that it fits more in this storytelling experience kind of piece.
She came into my life at the darkest time I'd ever known. And my story specifically is about my mom and losing my mom, and how it introduced a whole nother thing into my life, which is volunteering at the local hospice with my dog, who's a therapy dog. As good as it sounds, me going to volunteer at hospice, if I'm being completely honest with you all, I probably never would have gone there without Cookie. You've heard the term wingman? She was my wing girl. From the very first visit, beautiful things happened. Cookie would bound into rooms, ears flapping, tail wagging, and faces would brighten. Moods in rooms would lift.
All of the stories today have elements that at least one of them people will relate to, and definitely grief is a big one that I think we struggle with, and sometimes we feel like we've gotten over things and we haven't. So my story is a little bit about how grief can be an evolution.
Congratulations to all the presenters. What a moving evening. All right, time to take a break here on CTV News at 5. When we come back, we'll head into the lab for this story.
I'm Vanessa Wright in Halifax. Coming up on CTV News at 5, details on how scientists at Dalhousie are making some serious strides in ovarian cancer research. That's still to come on CTV News at 5.
Welcome back. So a team of scientists at Dalhousie are making major strides in ovarian cancer research. As CTV's Vanessa Wright shows us, they've been working nonstop to get the project ready for clinical trials.
This is an inside view of one of Dalhousie's research labs. It's where scientists have come up with a way to use something everyone has to fight against ovarian cancer.
We're studying how the immune system works so that we can leverage it to make it work better against cancers in patients.
They're studying natural killer cells, also known as NK cells, to make it happen.
Natural killer cells are these immune cells that everybody has in their body, and they normally help us to fight off infections. They get rid of cancers before they actually become cancerous.
Their plan is to duplicate as many NK cells as they can.
When we expand NK cells, we can start with 125,000 NK cells, and we can end somewhere around 10 to 100 million NK cells within 2 weeks.
This is where student Mariam Shaban spends most of her time. She's been able to test that theory on live cancer cells thanks to donations from Canadian Blood Services.
So if you can see here, the NK cells are kind of the odd-shaped ones. The clumps, they're the little cells, and then the bigger cells are the cancer cells. And so when the NK cells target the cancer cells, they kill them, and so the cancer cells will shrink a little bit.
She's a part of the team working around the clock on the project.
It's kind of supplemented my learning to be able to do research. It's made me a better scientist, a better student.
As for what's next, Dr. Boudreau hopes they can begin clinical trials in the next 3 years and eventually create a new and affordable treatment option for one of the most fatal cancers affecting women. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you, Vanessa, and wonderful work being done right here in the Maritimes.
Yeah, really interesting research there.
For sure. Right here in the Maritimes, speaking of all that wind today, oh my goodness, it nearly blew me away, Caitlin.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly like yesterday, except accompanied by a little bit more cloud cover. We have rain on the way for the entire region, and I'll have more on that in the forecast next.
Welcome back. Kaylin Mitchell joins us now. And Kaylin, it was nice to see the sun. If there was just a little dial to turn the wind down just a tiny bit, a tiny bit.
I would say if we could back off about 20 to 30 kilometers per hour from those wind gusts that we're hearing right here as we're looking out the Sydney Harbor for today, and you can see certainly the winds driving a little bit of wave action there on the waters as well. There's our sunrise and sunset times for the provincial capitals. The wind gusts will diminish just a little bit for most of the region as we make our way through tonight, but the wind overall is going to remain very steady out of the south and southwest. And one part of the Maritimes that has seen the wind become lighter compared to yesterday, northern and western areas of New Brunswick, where that weather front is beginning to arrive from the west. Now, barometric pressure is falling as that front approaches the Maritime region. Within that front, there's also a little low pressure system that developed and moved up and along it out of the state of Texas. So the combination of that front and that low pressure system increasing the cloud cover for the Maritimes and bringing the rain in as well. As we take a look at things on radar right now, it's been raining throughout much of the day through northern areas of New Brunswick. Remember, those special weather statements are in effect for the northwest of New Brunswick, and for any of our viewers in the Gaspé Peninsula on the Quebec side, there are rainfall warnings in effect there, calling for some totals between 30 and 50 millimeters of rain. As we've gone through the late afternoon, now towards the start of the evening, that rain is beginning to fill into western areas of New Brunswick. It's sort of on the doorstep now, Macadam, and not too far away from the Fredericton area. It'll be developing there as we make our way through the evening hours. Then heading into the overnight and into early Thursday morning, the rain arriving from Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia, which is exactly what we're going to see here on our forecast timeline as we move things forward. Now, within the rain, there is going to be a risk of some occasional downpours, so some higher rainfall rates moving through. By around midnight tonight, a risk there could be a couple downpours right around the southwestern coastline of New Brunswick. By the start of the day for tomorrow, there'll be a band of rain with a risk of downpours moving up and across southwestern areas of Nova Scotia, including in around the Halifax area. So for the morning commute, expect that visibility could be reduced in that rain. There'll be some fog patches as well, and maybe an increased risk of some hydroplaning conditions on the road. So that'd be for Prince Edward Island and for much of the west of mainland Nova Scotia first thing Thursday morning. And then that band of rain is going to be progressing eastward throughout the day. So in the afternoon, more set up around eastern areas of Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, still with the risk of some downpours with it, though, before it finally clears off towards the northeast as we move through Thursday evening and Thursday night. Behind it, during the day for tomorrow, there will be some further showers in the province of New Brunswick. They'll be scattered in their coverage. Winds in the forecast for tonight. Let's stop at around midnight. They're still mostly out of the south and southwest at that time. There'll still be some gusts in the range of 30 to 60 kilometers per hour, except lighter winds in northern and western areas of New Brunswick, where that front is arriving first. It is not only going to be rainy to start the day on Thursday for Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, but still gusty. Moving into and through the afternoon, as the front goes through, the wind direction changes. It becomes west and northwest, and the overall wind speeds begin to diminish. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight for the region. In New Brunswick, mostly falling into a range of 8 to 12 degrees, a little bit cooler in the north of the province, down to 11 for Charlottetown and Prince Edward Island tonight, and low temperatures for Nova Scotia between 9 and 13. And high temperatures in the forecast for Thursday around the Maritimes will be mostly around the low to mid-teens. Let's take a look at our weather watcher for tonight. And tonight's weather watcher is coming in from 10-year-old Brooke Maxwell from Porters Lake, Nova Scotia. Brooke has sent us a drawing of going for one last skate on the pond this past winter season. Thank you, Brooke. I hope you enjoyed being out in the ice there. Weather watchers can come in anytime to CTV Weather Watchers, P.O. Box 1653, Halifax, Nova Scotia, B3J2Z4, or email kaylin.mitchell@bellmedia.ca. Maria.
Thank you very much, Kaylin. So have you noticed the price of some goods change over the course of a month, week, or even a day? As CTV's Pat Foran shows us, whether it's a lawnmower, a mattress, or a TV, it's a good idea to track prices before you open your wallet.
Whether you're looking for a coffee pot or big-ticket purchases like appliances and mattresses, prices will fluctuate. There's been a lot of discussion about dynamic pricing, changing prices based on demand, but retail analyst Bruce Winder says that's not new.
If you get your weekly flyers, you'll see prices go down for a week and then they'll go back up. And then maybe 6 weeks later, they go down again.
Consumer Reports just tracked 16 popular products to give shoppers a clear picture of how prices rise, fall, and fluctuate. Take this Shark vacuum.
1 week it was like $119, and at its peak it was close to $200. So it would swing by $40 or $50 a week. We're seeing it with baby products, a lot of clothing and footwear.
While some retailers are experimenting with surveillance pricing in the U.S., where consumers are charged different prices based on their personal data, Winder feels it won't be prevalent in Canada.
Charging consumers different prices because they're different consumers is taboo. The reputational damage to the company would far eclipse any margin gain.
If you're trying to save money on electronics, consider buying an older model. TVs, phones, and laptops that are a year or two old can cost hundreds less. And consider refurbished products.
They take it, they clean it up, they replace parts, and you get it with a new 1-year warranty. I mean, there's no better deal in my mind than getting a refurbished item.
Certain items also go on sale at specific times of the year. AI can help research that. If you can hold off on a purchase, you could save money.
And you might find out that this is one of the items that is really used aggressively on Black Friday or Cyber Monday or Boxing Day, right? And if you can, you might wait.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Thank you, Pat. All right, time for our final break here on CTV News at 5. When we come back, dogs helping dogs in the...
Hi, Maccabi here at Bears Lake at the Coastal Care Veterinary Emergency and Referral Hospital. I'm getting a behind-the-scene look at how it works for animal blood donations. Coming up on CTV News at 5, we'll speak with donors about the positive difference one furry friend makes.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. Bike a day in May. So far, we've given away 6 bikes, 25 more to go.
Want to win? All you have to do is listen for the Bike Bell tomorrow between 8 and 9.
Blood donation is not only important for humans, but animals as well. As CTV's Emma Convey shows us, the Canadian Animal Blood Bank is calling on dog owners to consider signing their furry friend up to give.
Paloma is an 8-year-old Great Pyrenees mix, but at this veterinary hospital, they call her a hero. saving one dog at a time.
Her 5th donation coming up, and that'll be her milestone. I think she gets a little award for that, and she can donate until she's 11 years old.
Paloma makes a donation every 3 months. She is one of 150 dogs enrolled with the Canadian Animal Blood Bank in Nova Scotia. But not all pups return on a regular basis.
When a dog needs blood and is in an emergency situation, there isn't always the time to find a dog to come in and donate last minute. So having that blood on hand is crucial.
One dog donor could save up to 3 lives. But their blood supply doesn't always keep up with the demand, making dogs like Paloma even more important.
Superhero?
Each donation allows them to pack red blood cells, plasma, and cryo. The only barriers for donors are if the animal is underweight, dislikes the vet, or has a tick-borne disease like anaplasmosis. The process is quite simple.
They will lay on a table with their parent, and we collect the donation. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes, a lot faster than human blood donation, thankfully. Once it's over, they really can go back to normal life.
Tracy Goodall has 3 dogs. One is close to palliative, so for her, starting her young husky Arrow's donation journey was important. She just had her first appointment.
People don't think about the emergency situations that dogs have to do and to be in them, and I'd hate to be one of my dogs that didn't have the blood available to help save their lives.
Both Paloma and Arrow are universal donors, which make up less than 30% of dogs.
They can donate to any dog, but the only downside of that is they can only receive universal blood.
They offer weekly blood donation clinics. The next one is this Saturday at the Coastal Care Veterinary Emergency and Referral Hospital. Registration is online. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
Way to go, Paloma and Arrow, and you can donate to each other, which is a good thing for sure.
Good dogs.
Hero dogs for sure. And weather hero right here, Kaylin Mitchell. How's it looking out there?
Well, we've got rain on the way.
Yeah.
So tomorrow's a pretty soggy day across a good portion of the Maritimes. But, of course, it's not a bad thing to have rain in the spring season. Don't want to get too dry too quickly this time of the year. And there were parts of the Maritimes that could really use a little bit more spring rain. So I'll be talking more about that coming up in CTV News at 6.
We'll see you and Todd at 6 o'clock. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone. The national news is next.